Hi, I am Dr. Cheryl Meier, and I'm a psychologist and a life coach. A life coach so that I can see people all over the world. Because as a psychologist, I'm a doctor, but I can only see people in my state. All right, so today, I just felt like it was important for me to get on and get on a video and help you guys in whatever way that I've learned. I just watched the most encouraging video by this woman named Latoya Okiel, maybe? I can't remember how to spell her last name, but I had a coaching session with her because I had specific questions to ask her. She's so encouraging. So let me just go on some of what she was saying, and I'll apply it so that we can know it from my own pain. She was saying, you can find your purpose by understanding what your pain has been and what you've been through. And so, hold on. I have had the most tremendous amount of pain this past year and a half that I've ever had in my life. So her video was like, God will hide you. And basically you're buried in the ground. But she's like, you can still look cute while you're being buried, and it's like it's called, other people call it the dark night of the soul or ego death, or some people see it as a twin flame activation. Someone, and you don't have to believe any of this stuff or think about that or don't research that. I'm not recommending that. I mean, do what you want, but it's when, so there are some people we meet along our path that resonate deeply with our soul. We feel like we've known them for whatever reason. I don't have to get into the reasons of that. But what I thought was just a ghosting experience, because I talked about that a long time ago, about being ghosted. Over a year ago, I was ghosted, and it was so perplexing to me because I'd never been ghosted by a person. My childhood, now that I've worked through a lot of this stuff, and I'd gone to so much therapy before, and I've been a psychologist for so many people for years and years and years now, that I thought I didn't understand what was happening to me, but actually someone can activate you. We can call it activation. I'm trying to speak to two different crowds here. One group of people that don't know about this, and one group of people that do. And so I'll speak to both of you guys. And if you do know, then you know already what I'm talking about. And if you don't, then that's fine. Let's just go. It's the same principles here of what can happen if you just got ghosted or something, or some kind of horrible experience where you felt really rejected and you would never give the time of day to someone before, that was going to act that way, perhaps. I know I've met so many people in the past year and a half. I don't want to say any names or anything. Obviously I wouldn't, but just along my path that have gone through the same exact thing. Where the best way I can describe it is that you are drawn into someone that seems really familiar to you, and then rejection occurs. And so all of your abandonment wounds, or whatever childhood wounds, whatever wounds you still have left, get activated. And it's like, what I say, it's kind of like, this is sometimes what we do with our programs and our wounds from childhood is, the way Latoya says it too, she says, it's like if you're in a box and there's a label on the outside of the box and you're in it, so you can't see the label. So you can't see the ways you have been sorry, I'm conscious of people that might be watching this, and I have to just let that go. Otherwise, I can't speak to you guys frankly. I want to speak to you guys with as much openness as possible, so you can get healing no matter what, no matter what, if it's like TMI or whatever, so but I can also be respectful of my own privacy. So let's see. So if you're in a box and you're operating a certain way and you can't see it, and other people can because the label's on the outside of the box, but what can happen is that so there can be old childhood traumas and programs and ways we've been taught to think about ourselves, and we didn't realize we thought that way about ourselves. Like I thought I had a great understanding of myself after a lot of the therapy that I had done, and so much inner work and spiritual practice and spiritual path, and so much that I had gone on to try to bring healing to these different areas. But what can happen is we can just grow numb, and it's like, I have this wall over here, and it's like drywall. If you've ever seen drywall, it's like it can be hollow, and there can be all these wounds, and then you just put a patch over and drywall, and then it's like if you put another wall over that, you can't even tell that the wound is in there. And then someone comes along and activates that wound, and they're like, I've been calling it like your inverted Yoda. It's like they're like your best teacher, and there's so much pain that comes up because of this, that you feel sometimes like you're gonna die. Like it just feels so overwhelming, but here I am, yay. And it's not just because I'm a psychologist that I'm here. I don't even know if being a psychologist helped. Maybe it helped, but you can also get stuck in your mind. And if you get stuck in your mind and keep trying to research and find answers for what's going on, that can take you down what's that word? A rabbit hole as well, So one thing Latoya just said that I just so loved and appreciated, and I wish someone had told me this months and months ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, is that, okay, so imagine if you get a cut, you get a wound, and what happens is your body's, and she got this from a guy named Tony Gaskins, who's also a life coach. Anyway, so if you have a wound, your body sends out signals to come and bring healing to that wound. Like I had a black eye the other day because I hit a wall. You'd think I hit a wall in my life, but no, my friend had made me this nice meal, and I hadn't eaten all day, and I'd been skating. My electrolytes were off. But anyway, I was getting up to get a soda because I felt the energy drop, and I just ran into a wall. But anyway, it's all healed. And I was just looking today, I was like, oh wow, my eye's healed, thank you, God. Because I study all these mystics, and they talk about how the angels at night like heal your body, and I love mystical things. So I'm like a little kid in that way. But with that, okay, so I am a doctor, but I also think it's so important to stay vibrant and alive and happy and joyous and in your center and in a Zen place, and find that Zen place and find true joy, not happiness from external things. Oh, good. I wondered why I got my piece of paper. I got it. Let's draw stuff for you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be able to share this, actually. This might go really deep. If it goes deep, then just consider this like a therapy session, like a free, and this is not a therapy session. If you need therapy, go find a psychologist or a therapist, blah, blah, blah. I'll say all that stuff, and I mean it, I'm just talking here as a friend online, sharing my experience through this as far as I've gotten, so that it can lessen your pain, but not lessen it. It's not even sort of lessening your pain. That's what I was going to tell you, what I learned about pain. It's going to help you have like wherewithal in the midst of your pain, so that you can be like, if Cheryl got through this, I can get through this. And I've learned, and so I said before not to research it, but I've learned so much through the research and through the coaching and the classes and the healing and all the stuff I've paid for. You don't have to pay right now. You can pay if you'd like to set up a session with me. I might be taking clients. I haven't decided right now because I really want to be teaching classes, but get in touch with me nevertheless. If you see this and my email's still listed on my website, then for sure. I'd love to hear from you guys, and write in the comments. I know that's hard if you're going through what I went through because you want to stay anonymous. But anyway, all right. So what she said about pain was that, okay, so, and I'm summarizing, I'm saying different stuff about it. Let's say you get a cut, your body sends signals to the brain, to the angels or whatever, to come and bring healing to that area. And so what Tony Gaskins was saying, I guess, and what LaToya was saying, is that your heart is the same way. Oh, and I thought this says be mine when I got it, but I already have a video about that. But be wine, I look at it like be like transformed, like Christ turned water into wine, and this is your opportunity to turn into some mystical, beautiful, higher substance than you ever thought possible. And so know that this transformation is not for nothing. A lot of people are saying we came here at this time, in this shift of consciousness time, so that we can help other people in a transition that's coming up for them. And so we're kind of like forerunners in a way, where it's really important that you get through this and ask for grace, ask for help, however you want to say it. Ask divine love, God, help me get through this. Help me not only get through, but thrive and be able to help other people. Because I heard this monk that came from Mount Sinai, where Moses got the commandments, there's a monastery there. So this guy traveled all the way from Egypt over here to Southern California, where I live. And my friend is Orthodox and invited me to go to this tiny church. And I was earnest to ask a question. And I said, about the ladder. There's Jacob's ladder. He saw a ladder and angels were going up and down on it. Both my kids at different times, I hadn't taught them about this ladder, but they drew this painting about the ladder. And I'm like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's the ladder where the angels go up and down. And I had not taught them this. And one of them did it and he had not been in school. The other one did it at his preschool, but I don't think they were teaching that. But anyway, it was really strange. And so it was on my heart, of course, because this is how synchronicities work, synchronicities. And so I asked the monk, how do you get up that ladder? And he said, with humility. And if heartbreak doesn't bring you down to the ground in utter humility and utter, like, I don't know how to get through this, I got no heart left, But so what LaToya was saying, and what, because I'm taking a course by LaToya that I really like, but and what Tony Gaskins was saying is that when you sit, it was just 1414, if that means anything to anyone, but I'm not saying to go study numbers and stuff and get lost in that. We can get lost in all these sidetracks, okay? So what I'm talking to you about is, let's just take the most direct path through this, okay? I'll give you all the tips that I know so far. I don't know about all the tips, but I'll do as many as I can in this time. Is as many as I'm called to, because sometimes I'm not meant to say everything, not because I want to hold back, just because I don't know why, but I listen. So my chair keeps squeaking. About the ladder, it's like Oh, let me draw the picture that I was thinking of earlier. Go out. Okay, so don't forget, but I'll draw the ladder for a second. Okay, so here's a ladder right here. And let's say if you're on this rung right now, what I heard from another saint, I've been reading all these books about saints and their, their times of asceticism in the desert. That just means, they gave up, they had like one piece of bread a day so that their life could be simplified, so they could just hear from God, connect with the divine, and find out what their purpose was. And I'm not saying that those ways are for us right now, who knows. But there's a lot deeper meaning. I talked to my mom one time. She's like, why are they starving themselves and keeping themselves away from other people? Well, they need to help people, and but it's like the prayers that they do in that quiet changes them so much. It helps the whole collective. Think about the collective consciousness and someone elevating that, even just a higher degree. It's like dropping dye in some water, and then it affects 1,000 people, and then those 1,000 people affect 1,000 people. And so even if they don't come back into society, which a lot of them did come back after 15 years of being silent and in prayer and just having a piece of bread a day or whatever. And I'm not saying that as a diet or anything. I'm saying you can look at what they did. So their lives are incredible. But one of them said, the desert mothers and fathers, there are women out there too, that if you don't go up the ladder, then you're stopping other people that need to go up as well, that want a higher spiritual elevation, higher consciousness. I heard from another YouTube video today that I was called to, that the word prince means like principle, like first things. And so I don't like talking about what that guy was talking about, but if all of us, here's the good part. Okay, I'll go to the good part. If all of us are kings and queens in heaven, or prince and princesses, then it's like getting first things first. C.S. Lewis had this quote that's like, if you get first things first, then you get second things and third things. If you put second things in front of these first things, then you don't get any of it. And if you think of Christ as trying to free people and teach a higher consciousness, he said, seek first the kingdom of God. And it's really the queendom. The word in Greek is basileia for queen. It's feminine of kingdom, but it's like seek first this reign of love. If God is love, then you're seeking first alignment with perfect love. That's all you're seeking first. Align yourself with perfect love. And then all these things shall be added to you as well. And this goes to this picture, is not love where you're looking outside yourself. If I keep looking outside myself for a person or for drugs or for alcohol or for, proving my worth by getting more degrees or proving my worth by going to more spiritual classes and avoiding my pain or whatever, if I keep looking outside myself, I'm teaching myself over and over again to keep looking outside myself. And as long as I'm doing that, if you understand about manifesting, then the universe will keep reflecting back to me. Just keep looking outside yourself and just keep looking, because that's what I keep saying. I need something outside of myself. And then the universe reflects back to you and says, you need something outside of yourself. And it's not outside of yourself. This answer is not going to be outside of yourself, because Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. But this is a mystery. This is like my blood, sweat, and many, 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 many tears. Like, I've had nights where I just had to lay on the ground and sleep. One night, I remember that. I just sleep under my bed. Like, it's not that high off the ground. And it was just like, because I just felt like exactly what, thank God, that video just came up in my feed today, and it was 6 months old. And it's because I'm fasting from TV and news and everything else right now, because she said, go through this so that you can take everything out, every negative influence out, so that you can get clear in your head and connect with the divine. And that's what I want. So I was called to that, and I was glad to do that. And it's during Lenten times anyway, so it's perfect. But one of the time, oh, so her video is called Let God Hide You. And it's like, if you feel like you're being buried alive, that's God planting the seed. You're just being planted right now. And that's fine. You know, let the dirt come over you. And it was so funny because she's like, I mean, you don't have to look bad while you're being buried, you know? And I was dying laughing. I'm like, go girl. Like, I put on some makeup today. It's almost off now because it's in the evening. But anyway, yeah, and I curled my hair, but it was hailing today in Southern California, which is so weird, but there was a rainbow. Anyway, we look for whatever we can get. So literally under my bed, just crying so hard that it's like I couldn't move, and I didn't want to move off the ground because it just felt like I had to let another layer of me die. And it's so weird because let's talk about like what's dying. Let's go back to the pain thing for a second. Is what LaToya was saying, that what Tony was saying, because she took a class of Tony's. And so, you know, you can get his class. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to not credit them for the work that they've done in a class. But he said, if you don't sit in that pain, okay, our society teaches us so much. And I know if you are a part of the group that knows what I'm talking about, then there are certain things online that you can go to that I do not want to even say or recommend, that I know a lot of people have left that community. It's kind of like the occult community or whatever, but people will go and they'll go to these external things to try to keep predicting the future, let's say, and finding out what's going to happen and finding out, am I really going to be loved? This pain is going to be okay if I'm going to be loved in the future. And all that does is keep you in addictive energy and keeps your healing from happening. Let me tell you the hard way, or I wish I would have known this, you know, 2 years ago or whatever. So that's why I'm telling you guys now. I mean, it's your life and your choice. Man, I need some water after I'm saying this. I'm getting all hot. I'll be all right. Is what Tony was saying, what LaToya was saying, is that, and what I know from my experience, is if you stay in the pain, okay, and you can watch some of my other videos. I had a video the other day because I was driving and I was just going to do it for my own journal because I had all these breakthroughs that morning, and I was driving somewhere, but I didn't have time to write it down because I didn't want to be late to the place I was going. It was something that was starting. And so I just had my video camera going because I'm so used to doing my YouTube videos and other videos, you know, or the whatever platform, that I just put my camera on so I could drive and concentrate on the road. But then I just started crying my eyes out. I'm literally crying for 8 minutes. And I was like, oh, please don't ask me, God, to put that up, you know. But, and I had a black eye and everything. I forget what it's called. Yes, it was called Am I Annoying or Am I Love? Because there was an old program that got activated by this whole process, and it was working its way out of my system. Thank you, God. You know, honestly, I'm like, aw. I looked over when I'm saying thank you, God. I have like a Jesus candle and Mary and everything, but I also have Bob Marley. And he's like, he reminds me, like, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be all right. Rise up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds perched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. He's always smiling. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I mention him a lot because he says that all of his songs are about a higher consciousness, and all of what Christ is teaching is about a higher consciousness. And this is what I'm teaching. This is what I know, so that's what I teach. And this is what I know that got me out of this, and so that's what I teach. But so Tony was saying, and LaToya was saying, if you stay in your pain, and don't try to run away from it. Some of the time when I take these deep breaths, that's because I'm going into something that's anxious for me to go into. That, you know, I got that I was feeling hot earlier, and I keep talking around this because I have my own defense mechanisms where I don't want to go into this as well. So sometimes my videos go longer because it takes me a long time to get to that place. And that's just what it takes. And I'm not going to cut off the first 10 minutes so you just get to this part, because I don't know. It's kind of like you can do the work here with me of getting to that place and seeing how hard it is for me. And so when you stay in your pain, it feels like you're going to die. It feels like it can't get better. It feels like all your old voices can come in and be like, you are annoying. You're never going to get through it, blah, blah, blah. I won't give them any more attention. Just notice them and know that that's not you. That's not you. It's like if someone started playing a record, fly me to the moon and let me sing among the stars. And you're like, that's not my voice. and so it's like, it doesn't matter what they're singing about. Like if they're singing good or bad or whatever, I mean, of course, like take the good, you know, like I'll accept the good, but you can look at it like it's a record player of old wounds from childhood and old programs you've learned that are not you. It's not you. But don't just take my word for it. Observe it, watch it, and go, wait, who says I'm annoying? You know, that was my childhood, and that was because I just found a video yesterday, I think it was, that it says, are you 7 signs that you're a Heyoka empath? And I knew a Native American, I'm part Native American, but I knew a Native American that was a Heyoka, Heyyoka, I think, Ka. And Heyoka means sacred clown, you know? And he was great. He had like 7 chihuahuas, and anyway, I went and met with him for 3 days, but he was an inner Heyoka. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I think he called himself that on his website. But what they say about a Heyoka, and I'll tie this together, hopefully I can tie all this, I usually do, is that they are empathic, and they are like a clown, like a jester. What a jester does is a jester would be in the kingdom and reflect back in a funny way all pathos, like deep problems that were going on, and people could laugh at it, but it was a form of becoming aware of broken things that were happening in their lives or in the community or whatever that they did need to address. And so as a child, I was sort of the vocal one, or I was just a mirror, and I would reflect back to my parents what was going wrong. And I like, and so to part of their egotism, mostly my dad, that was annoying. And so it was like, I kept getting this sense, this feeling like, you ought to not be here. You ought to not exist because you're annoying me, because I don't want to see any of my bad, because he grew up in a way where he couldn't see any of his bad, or he would be rejected by his own father. And I'm not excusing that at all. I'm just saying that it wasn't personal about me. It wasn't about me being annoying, because I'm not, you know. It was about me being a mirror, and that person not wanting to take self-responsibility to do their own inner work. And so they didn't like a mirror. And so I wasn't liked in that way, and I wasn't wanted in that way. And I felt it because I was a deep empath. So I felt it on a high level, basically like, I wish you were dead. And so it's like not understanding why, and then wanting to be like this people pleaser, learning how to be a people pleaser was like, to please him would be to not be alive. And it's just such a weird mind, just like merry-go-round thing or whatever. You don't want to, you get stuck in that. Once you know it's not about you and it's not you and you don't have to carry that burden anymore and it has nothing to do with your worth and your love, like this is why I think the process that happened to me, this dark night of the soul that was activated by someone in my soul group, and I mean, I was on, at one time, I've said this in other videos, a mystical trip, and I was where I went with other people on this, and not everybody knew per se that was on this trip, I guess, but what I understood by these trips were these travel trips where you're doing meditations and you're getting activated by different parts of the world where ancient places, like they have a trip to Israel, let's say, let's see what happened in Israel, and in Turkey. And so all of the people on that trip, we like chose to be this holding container for other people and for ourselves. And so we know that people are going through deep transformations that carry on past these trips. These trips are well occupied by the angels that knew we were going on this trip or whatever. It's offered up in prayer to the divine, to God. It's kind of like, if people pray and pray and pray for a whole year about a certain convention that they're going to have, like they have some out here. And so like big breakthroughs happen. Actually, I was at this place and I know that these people had a silent retreat at this one place I was going to. And the work that they had done for the 2 days before, just the one day before on the silent retreat, I had forgotten about the silent retreat, but I went to this activity, this service at this place, and I had this huge breakthrough that day. And I could feel it in my inner being that it was like the work that those all people did by concentrating, by being there, by being willing to be silent for the day and in prayer. It's like it brought more power so that this change could actually take place. And so it's a gift as much as we hate it because it's painful. It's just like my dad hated me being around because I reminded him of the inner work that he wasn't choosing to do. Whatever he did choose to do, that was whatever. I don't want to minimize that for him. Like that's his own path. But anyway, so what Tony was saying too, and I'm not wanting to go, is like go back into your heart, be wine, let yourself be transmuted into something more when you stay in your pain. Okay. I was crying my heart out this morning even, and it's just been so long, and it's not every day of this, I have so many fun times. If you want to look at my YouTube channel, you see the fun stuff and then some of the lows, but I try to always be encouraging in the middle of it. And some of it's just expressing how I felt at that time, but not how I feel now. But yeah, if you stay in your pain, okay, that's the indicator for the healing balm to come in and actually heal your heartbreak. If I kept going out to alcohol or smoking or doing drugs or trying to get more people to like me or went back on the dating scene, I got like 1,400 likes in like the first week of me being on the dating app. And then I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. It was just too weird. But I like this organic process that's happening. It's really sweet and fun. But and I'm not worried about any of it. I don't care. When you stay in the pain, that's what signals the healing to come in. And if we keep avoiding it, then it's like we're prolonging the pain and the healing process. We're not giving it its full extent to heal. And so now when the tears come, I just let them come. And my friend that teaches some of those classes I was talking about said, yes, I read from a saint, or I heard that the tears are healing for your soul. And I'm like, oh, good. Then, or they wash your soul clean. I'm like, oh, yeah. Then mine's like Niagara Falls, because there's just been a lot of tears. But guess what? There were a lot of broken ways that I was operating before, ways where someone said it so well on a Zoom call that I was in today, that this person was enabling someone else. And the person they were enabling was very, very destructive, like abusive. But it's like taking account of the way I was, and not me, but that person, but it could be me, the same, enabling that person to keep behaving in that way because you think you're not allowed to set a boundary, or you think that you're going to be annoying again if you set a boundary, or that you're going to be rejected. And when you hold being rejected over standing up for what's right, or not putting up with it, or setting a boundary, or whatever, then that person has all this room to be really, really destructive. But it's like you're the other half of that equation in a lot of ways, and it's hard for us to see that. But I don't want to betray anyone's confidence. So, but that could be anybody. That could be any of us. I can go back to my own experience of when I keep choosing to let someone treat me like a doormat, or an object, because that's what I experienced in childhood. And so until you change your program, okay, so it's like switching channels. But it's like, I was just at this Tony Robbins conference for 4 days. And one thing that really struck me that he said was that, we have a certain psychological home, and it's like an emotional home. And it's like, if you start going beyond that, and I've talked about this with my clients for years and years, I used to say it's like a rubber band. If you go beyond that, as you go beyond, the tension, and I've said this before in other videos, the tension keeps getting tighter like a rubber band. So it's like, it keeps trying to pull you back to your old way of operating. And we even mistake it for loyalty. We say, oh, I have to be loyal. And it's like, what? Jesus said, he who does not leave his father, mother, brother, sister, husband, wife, children, whatever it is, I'm not saying literally to leave your children. I don't even know if children are on that list, but I'm saying if my children are walking on me and I'm not setting boundaries with them, then I need to leave that way of operating with my children in order to follow Christ, even if my children are going to reject me because I set a higher standard and a higher boundary for them. It's better for them. But yes, like being willing to leave the way of my mother and father. And if we do that as children, it feels like we're going to die. And so part of us doesn't know that there's a time, like, our logical brain knows time, but our emotional brain doesn't know what year it is right now and doesn't know how old you are. And so there's no time limit on that. So it feels like we're going to be biting the hand that feeds us. Like, it feels like if I leave this emotional home, this way of operating, this way of running away from my pain. Everyone told me to keep running away from my pain. Numb your pain. You go do a bunch of things to try to prove your worth, to try to, I do it like that, build up this balloon of yourself instead of knowing your soul self, living within this deep Zen place. The Power of Now is a really excellent book for you to learn what is being activated. You have a pain body that's being activated, and you don't have to know a bunch of things. It's just knowing, it's kind of like me staying in the pain helped me to get to this place beyond the pain that you don't know is there until you sit there. At one time, I was crying my eyes out. I don't know if I put it in one of my videos, bawling my face off because I felt so strongly that I was like, I knew in my intuition, in my inner knowing, you have an inner knowing, that the only way to get over this pain that I experienced, this deep, deep pain, was to go through. And so I imagined like a river. And I even got a song about a river. It's like from camp. It was like, a running bear, love, little white dove, with a love as big as the sky. A running bear, love, little white dove, with a love that couldn't die. And then it's like, running bear, run to the water, little white dove does the same. As they swam out to each other, they called each other's names. Oh, it's the sweetest, it's the most beautiful. And I'm so glad that my soul or divine love gave me that song, because it was so perfect for what I had, my old beliefs in my mind, that there was this huge gulf in between these two people that loved each other so intensely, and they weren't allowed to be with each other, like Romeo and Juliet, like, the tragedy of that. There's something really deep in that tragedy, where it's like, they do have to die, but they just have to die to the old version of themselves. They don't have to die physically. And so it's kind of like Juliet was just going to mock die so that they wouldn't persecute her anymore. But then Romeo didn't know that she hadn't really died, And I can't give away all of that, because really, like, it's like just letting the mystery unfold and seeing what happens. And it can be so beautiful, not in that story, not how it ended in that story, and not how it ended in Running Bear's song, but I got this deep impression that the only way to the other side of the river was through. And so it's the same that's being repeated to us right now. If you keep running off I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at you, okay? If you keep running off to all of those things that are telling you, oh, he loves you and he's thinking about you and blah, 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 all it does is keep you hoping for something in the future, instead of dealing with, let's just deal with my heartbreak now. And my heartbreak's just about a pain I had in childhood that got activated so that I can have a spiritual awakening, so that I can go to a higher place, so that I can be enlightened, so that I can help others, so that I go up on this ladder and then they can go up on this ladder. And so I know there's a guy named Kurt. You can find him. You guys know what I'm talking about if you're in that first community. That he talks about the true spiritual journey and how to wake up in that. And really in that, you're just learning how to live in your soul self. And if I didn't learn how to live in my soul self, my life would be such a wreck right now. Like, I would have torn my hair out. I'm not just saying that, my life could have been such a wreck right now, instead of this peace that I have. Peace, even though I'm being hidden in God right now, as Latoya was saying. You're like a plant, and it takes time for that to grow. And as you learn how to surrender and be at ease and know that every little thing is going to be all right, and know that, nope, I'm not taking a shortcut. I'm not going to keep just making myself feel good in the temporary. This is something I learned from Kurt, is he's saying, like, as long as you keep taking temporary fixes for yourself, taking the addictive route, you're just encouraging all the other people around you to take that route as well. And I don't want to do that to anybody. I know about addictions from being a psychologist for years and years, and from working at a rehab and seeing people just so mad that they gave 20 years of their life over to an addiction, you know, instead of just facing the pain. And yes, it's painful when you face the pain. So I'm not saying it's not, but you're not alone. And we can encourage each other. And why not give that to yourself? I know it looks like there's not going to be an answer, so I just want to keep numbing myself, but find it, like, see it, watch and it wasn't until I got rid of all of my addictions and I said, I'm not looking for any scraps anywhere. I refuse to accept scraps. Scraps is what I knew from my childhood, is like, they're saying, we love you, but really we don't want you to be alive. And, you know, my mom's not going to stand up to my dad for the way he's operating, you know, and call him to account to change his ways, or hold him accountable for any of that or whatever. I'm just going to keep, you know, living in numbness or whatever they lived in. And so they taught me to live in numbness, and I didn't realize how numb I was until I got activated on one of these trips. And then what I was saying at the beginning of this, I got ghosted by someone I really cared about, and then not ghosted, but just blocked or ignored or whatever. I don't know what it is, just like no communication. But which, you know, every person has their right to walk on their own path, you know. But it was such a repetition, like, who cares about what that is? Like, it was such a repetition of my childhood. And, you know, so wanting my parents to connect with me and know me and teach me that I'm worth loving and that I can love them, and they welcome my presence and they welcome my love and they welcome my communication and they communicate with me. And so it's like, it was just a repetition. Of course, I'm going to find an experience. This is what we do, is we find an experience that replicates our inner woundedness so that we can then shed it. You can shed it. This is what the point of it all is. Ah, there's an Anthony Hamilton song that's like, the point of it all is I love you. I got to meet him. I have a picture with him. The reason for it is all is I love you. See, I have this icon, this old ancient icon of Christ that was on some building somewhere. I don't know if that's weird for you, but I like it because there's like a masculine side on this side and a feminine on this side, and it helps me remember how to keep balancing both of it in me. And but really, it's not about I have to jump through all these hoops and I have to balance all these things and I have to heal all these things. I really don't think it is about all of that stuff. When I let go of the addictive energy and let go of trying to look for something out there, when we do that, then more of the pain, the last bit of the pain, that's all, the last bit of the pain can come up so that it can be healed, so that it signals to the angels and to God, you know, to divine love, like, hey, you know what? I've healed everything I could possibly heal. I need you to do the rest of this healing because I can't do it. And I had a vision the other day. Okay, I was just checking whether it's something I can share. And so the vision was kind of like, Rumpelstiltskin. Remember the woman, the princess? Or it was just the woman who said she could turn straw into gold. And so they put her in a dungeon with a bunch of straw and was like, you better do this by morning or you're dead, you know? It kind of feels like that. The vision I got, and then Rumpelstiltskin shows up and he says, you know, give me your firstborn. I don't know, like, you don't want to make deals like this. But anyway, he turns the straw into gold and then they want more gold, and you know how that can happen. But I had a vision where it was like that. I was in a place like that, and I was just ironing, like with an old-fashioned iron, let's say. I don't even have an iron here. I don't think I own one because I don't iron clothes. So I was ironing like 900 dresses. It felt like I was ironing like 900 white dresses. Because one time I had this vision. Anyway, I won't go into that one. I wasn't. Anyway, so and I was just praying to Christ, and I was like, because that's who I do my meditations with, and I was like, what else do you want me to iron? Like, I will iron whatever you give to me to do. I am willing to do. I'm willing to do the work. I want to do whatever work is going to make me more loving to other people and more healthy, and like be able to help you guys so you have less pain, and you know love deeper in your heart, and you know how to give love more, and how to be honest with yourself, and how to do your inner work, and not spiritual bypass, not go away from it by running into spirituality, or not being afraid to face your pain. And so I got this image of like this dirty, like just this old ratty, like it reminded me of like Little House on the Prairie days, how they would wear a slip under every dress, like a petticoat. That's what I think they called it. And it was like, it was just my daily one that I wear under every outfit, you know, not that I wear it now, because, oh my gosh, I tried on a dress the other day. I was like, what in the heck? What is this thing? Like, I don't know. Like, I can wear some dresses, but that dress just was not me. But anyway, this is like this thing, and that's not the point here. Is in my vision, I saw it, and Christ was like, yeah, let me have that one. I'll clean that one. That's the one. And I'm like, this is just like, I don't know. And so it's like that, though. It's like the story of Hercules was coming to me the other day. There's this 7 labors of Hercules, and it's like the initiations that we have in our lives. And so these stories aren't for nothing. The fairy stories and Hercules. And I have a story on here that I read, all of the Princess and the Goblin. Like, honestly, that story can help you so much on this journey. But, you know, it's hard for... Our ego mind does not understand how a fairy story can help us. But the 7 labors of Hercules, one of them is he has to go clean the king's stables, or else, you know, he loses the princess, or he dies, or whatever it is. And so it's like the king has 1,000 horses in this stables, so they're really full of crap, you know. It's like they're completely full, and he starts cleaning out, and he can clean out the first 2, and he's like, there's no way I can clean this. There's just no way. And I've done everything I can to clean it, you know, with all my heart, you know. And it's just like, that's when you ask the divine, and it's like somehow, as far as I remember the story, and don't get mad at me if I have it wrong, it's like, that's my childhood. That's an old program. So they redirect a river that goes through, and it gets the whole stable sparkling clean. And it does the cleaning. Like, the cleaning has to take place. It does have to take place. But there are magical ways that we can't think of in our ego mind, that higher mind and divine love can come in and heal all this stuff. And like Latoya was just saying in that Hidden in God video, I was like, I was so happy about what she was saying. She's like, when you find your purpose, and your purpose is in your pain, like your pain, just like I'm sharing from my pain, is my purpose. This is how I can energize you and love you in your life, by talking about how I got through this, and how I am still alive, and I'm not listening to the programs of my own childhood, and I don't have to let my emotions run the show, and my thoughts don't run the show. They're just thoughts. You don't have to believe your thoughts. That's a different video, like, but when you release these things to the divine, oh yeah, what she was saying is, when you get into your purpose, she was like, when you start doing your purpose and acting according to this vision, I've been like really getting this urge to find out, what is my vision? What is the vision that God's given me for, you know, divine love, because some people get triggered by God, for how to love people on this earth, because I have so many gifts. I know I have gifts. People meet me all the time when I'm out roller skating, and their lives are changed by one interaction with me, because I'm a really, really deep person, and I talk right write about whatever their pain is, or whatever they're going through, whatever their joy is. It magnifies it, not their pain, but it magnifies their joy, so that they can act from a higher activated place as well, because I've been activated on a higher level. And so anyway, but she said, when you act according to, from your pain, not from it, but in your purpose and your vision from your pain, she says you're not going to need the hit from the drugs or from the alcohol or the cigarettes or whatever else, because you get such a natural high from loving other people in their woundedness, and in the places that they might not say they need it, but they love it and they get it and they feel it. And I have gotten messages back from people about how deeply I've changed their lives and how much more love they experience, because my work as a psychologist and just my work as just being around them, you know. A lot of people come up to me, I have these pink light up skates, and they'll be like, I love your skates are so cool, you know. And I'm like, it's not the skates, you know. And it's not an ego thing. It's just, I know it's this deep presence of Christ, of love that I have inside of myself, that's activated, that radiates out like my skates that light up. 1 second. 1 second. Give me 5 minutes, Kay? Haha. It's his birthday. I was waiting for him to be done with his computer as well. Anyway, so I got this, and it was in my intuition that told me, that's not the skates, girl. That's your love. That's your love. They're feeling it, and it feels like these pink skates that light up. That's worth all the work. That's worth all the pain. If other people can know a deeper love, if you can know a deeper love in your life. And so she was saying, yeah, you don't know that when you get in your purpose, you're not going to want to reach out for all those other addictions that you used to go for, you know. But it takes just sitting through the pain. And that, if you look at it just like, oh, that's your heart telling the divine love, okay, healing needs to come here quick already, you know. And it only takes like, you know, for me, it took like 5 minutes of me going, okay, I've already chosen. I'm not going for scraps. I don't care. I don't care how appealing they are. I'm worth more than that. And I'm going to teach myself I'm worth more than that by not looking back. I don't look back. I go forward, and I'm not looking back. And there have been times when I felt like, oh, I need to just do this, just this one thing, you know, just this one. And it's like, no, I'm going forward, and I'm not going back. And I'm going to teach myself that I'm worth more than what my parents taught me by their actions. Not like they on purposely did this, but by their actions, they taught me I wasn't worth the work to sit through the pain and get to the other side of that river where Running Bear and White Dove get to be in love, you know. I get to create that for myself, within myself. And it's not just that. Then I know love, and I radiate love. And girl, like guy, whoever you're here, like love comes where love is. And I am already seeing that. I have such loving people that are showing up in my life. And it's like they came out of nowhere. And anyway, if I keep saying, but I just need this, I need this, I need this, you know, then the universe will keep reflecting back to me and say, you need this, you need this. And you'll just keep being in a state of neediness, and you don't need that. Go in, find your isness. Watch every video I've created, because I'm talking about this in every video. On a deeper level, I talk about different songs that show you an ego path and a soul path. And if you keep staying on the ego path, this thing that you're longing for, like, that's all you're perpetuating in that thing. I'll just keep it vague, because we don't control other people or anything like that. But just find your path. Find your path. And help other people along the way, even though, you know, I'm in a lot of pain, and Latoya was in a lot of pain 6 months ago when she made that video. But she is activated now, girl. That girl is, I love her. I love her. And I appreciate that she dared to keep having the guts to be present and keep helping other people while we're in the trenches. All right, I wish you love.